Good morning, welcome back to Oaks and Arrows. Today we're kind of just doing a day in the life vlog on a weekend in the summer. We don't have anything really planned today. We often have lots of plans during the summer, lots of days we're out of the house, and today we're not. So we're just relaxing, doing things as a family, and I thought I'd just bring you along for what it looks like on just a simple day in the life in the summer at home. So come along with us as we get our day started this summer Saturday morning. What do you have there, Luke? What are they?
Frogs.
Frogs? Where'd you find those?
Backyard.
In the backyard.
They're actually toads.
They're actually toads, yeah. Are you feeding them?
Yes.
What are they eating?
Ants.
You caught them some ants?
Yeah.
That's so fun. What are their names?
Leapy and Hoppy.
Leapy and Hoppy. We have a full environment for them there. We're watching them eat the ants and the flies, and it's been fun. But he has had them for 2 days, and so I told him after 2 days he has to let them go, and then in a couple more days he can catch another frog and do it all again. But we don't want to keep them very long because we might make them, we don't want them to be trapped when they have a whole big backyard to play in, huh? So this morning we're starting off with our discard pancakes. And Olivia's helping me out, huh? This was her idea to make the pancakes this morning. We're starting them on the stove. She wants to cook them, but we're kind of hoping Daddy joins us and finishes the pancakes on his Blackstone because they're just a little bit better when they're cooked on cast iron. Here, Ben, show me your pancake.
It's the size of my plate.
Yep. Dad started making the pancakes this size. So we have a whole bunch this size, and then I asked him to make some smaller ones for the kids. When we make pancakes, I like to make them so that they last several mornings. And what we do is we reheat them in the toaster. We reheat them in the toaster, and that keeps like the texture the closest it can be to when they fresh come off the griddle. So that's what we're gonna have the next few mornings with swim lessons and everything else we have going on. Just simple, quick breakfast. Made by Dad on the Blackstone. They're beautiful, just like you. This is gonna be such a random mishmash of a day, but that's okay. That's just how life is. It's a bunch of just like little things and little moments. So today, it's mostly a rest day, mostly a fun day. But right now I'm gonna clean up the kitchen from breakfast, throw in a load of laundry, and then I'm hoping it's not too hot because I'm letting it get later in the day than I normally do it, but I am gonna go on a run. I have started a run challenge. It's only like 1 mile at a time, so it's very doable for somebody like me that I'm just, believe it or not, I'm not a runner. So I have not ran a mile in 12 years until this week. So I am running intervals today, which means I'm running as hard as I can for 30 seconds and then 30 seconds of walking. And I just keep doing that for just 10 minutes. That's all it is today. And then I have leg day on my workout schedule today, a second leg day. I've been doing 2 this summer. I might not do that that today. We'll see. We'll see. If it happens, it'll happen later this afternoon after I've folded laundry and sewn a pair of shorts that ripped and have done a bunch of mom stuff. So we'll see. For the day. We just ate lunch. I did my workout, ran a mile, walked a mile, and then did like a 30-minute leg day with, it had a core circuit at the end. You guys, I didn't realize they were doing this. I heard the water running. What are you guys doing?
Playing in mud.
We have this, ever since we've moved here, this patch of grass will not grow. So they're not supposed to do this because we have a sandbox for this. So. So I am just working on folding laundry. The kids are playing. But I thought while I was folding laundry, I could answer a few homeschooling questions I've gotten recently on my channel or on my Instagram. If you aren't following my Instagram, it's erin.oaksandarrows. So you can go follow along there, and I post more like little snippets from our day. And if you have a question, I can either save it for a video, or of course, if you need the answer right then and there, I'll answer it. I get asked questions all the time because we do run a co-op, and I do run our children's ministries, and I have been a teacher for 7 years in different forms of public school and online school before I started homeschooling. So that kind of gave me some different insights to a bunch of different forms of schooling. And anyway, so I kind of started this all as just a little like side ministry to just answer questions and help women get started in homeschooling. And have a place to connect, because there's tons of places you can connect locally, but sometimes it's embarrassing to ask certain questions. I'm not gonna lie, some people and most women in the homeschooling community would love to share everything with you that they're doing. So if you have a homeschool community in your area, I'm sure you can look one up on Facebook. There's lots of little communities there, like Facebook pages that do meetups and stuff in probably just about every community in the United States. So you can look that up, and you can probably find some like-minded moms that genuinely want to help you. But if you talk to the wrong moms in the homeschooling community, there can be a lot of judgment if you want to do things differently than they do. It's just an interesting place to be. So you kind of have to feel out people and decide if they're the type of people you can trust with certain questions, or if they're going to be the type of person to be judgy and instead of looking at like who you are as a person and who your family is, just like tell you what they did. And while I'm gonna tell you what I did and what works for me for sure, because that's what works for me, there's been lots of homeschooling moms that I've talked to in person that they have things that they're asking about and they have specific issues with their kids, and I have helped them look into curriculums that better fit their kids or better fit their homeschooling philosophy. And so that's kind of what I'm here for, is to just give that information to a slightly wider range of women. Like, honestly, when I started homeschooling, I didn't know. I knew a couple of moms that were homeschooling. Only one person that I knew at that time had a similar homeschooling philosophy to me. And so I went to YouTube for a lot of my questions because I didn't know where else to go. And so I think that other women are probably going to do the same because homeschooling has exploded. And so a lot of people are first generation homeschoolers and they don't know where to start. So here I am. That's why I'm here. But I have gotten a couple of questions, so I figured I would answer those. But one moment, I just heard my children turn on the hose again. Anyways, let me answer your questions. Somebody asked me, and I've actually gotten this question like 3 or 4 times in different ways. Will my child be able to read by the time they finish kindergarten with the Good and the Beautiful? My short answer is yes. I was very impressed with my child's ability to read by the end of kindergarten this year. And that was my second kindergartner to go through the curriculum. I will say that was my child. And every child's gonna learn differently. And there's a lot of research out there that shows that it's totally within normal to not be able to read like 3-letter, 4-letter words until the age of 7. So if that's not your child, I really wouldn't worry about it until the age of 7 if you are working with your child on a regular basis, working through the curriculum. And that's another problem I've seen parents that they are like, well, that curriculum didn't work for my child. Or, my child really just struggles with reading, when it's really the way that they're being taught. They're not working through lessons the way the curriculum says you should work through the lessons. They're maybe skipping some things. They're not being consistent enough with the reading part of it, which, like, you need to read books with your child every day if you want them to be reading by the end of kindergarten. In general, like, if you want your child to begin reading fluently, you need to be reading with them almost every single day. And that's why I love the Good and the Beautiful, because it incorporates that really easily for you. Especially in like the first, second, and I think 3rd grade. Yeah. Kindergarten, 1st grade have the little books, and then 2nd grade and 3rd grade have chapter books that you read with them and you take turns reading them with your child. And I just love the way it incorporates that, because it forces you to sit down and read with your child. And some of us need that. Sometimes it's not the child, sometimes it's us being disciplined enough to work with our child. And honestly, when I see kids struggling with reading at 6, not even 6, at like 7, 8, 9 years old, sometimes it's because that child just needs longer to grasp it, and their parents are doing everything and they're doing a wonderful job working with their child. There's about just as many parents that are easily getting frustrated with working with their child and not giving a curriculum the chance to teach their child. And they're switching curriculums, they're switching how they do the curriculum way too often to see if what they're doing actually works. So With that, I'd give your first year the full year doing it exactly as the curriculum says. And after that, if it's just like a struggle, try some other things and then give it like half a year. Long story short, I do think that the Good and the Beautiful curriculum can teach most children to read by the end of kindergarten if you're, one, consistent and following the directions that the curriculum actually gives you, but two, that your child doesn't have an underlying, I don't even want to say disability, just an underlying hurdle that will make it harder for them to read. Some kids have little hurdles that aren't even considered like a learning disability that just makes it take a little longer. So not all children fit in one box. So that's not a super easy question to answer, but I would say if your child has shown all signs that they're a typical learner, the Good and the Beautiful, they'll be reading very well by the end of kindergarten, very well. The next question I had was, what grade do I incorporate history and science, etc.? This is going to vary by your state's guidelines. Some states require you to log history and science as young as kindergarten. Even in the state I am, where we have a lot of homeschooling freedoms, a lot of people choose to use a state program when they get started with homeschooling to kind of help them figure out how to get started. And even in those, you have to log history and science starting in kindergarten. But if your state does not require you to log that, most people that I know start history and science at about 3rd grade. So what I would recommend, if this is your first year homeschooling, it doesn't matter what age your child is. If this is your first year homeschooling, I would not do history and science unless your state requires it. I would stick to math and language arts and doing some reading together for at least that first 5-6 months of homeschooling. Just get into a good rhythm and then add in the history and the science. Because we started homeschooling when my oldest was in 2nd grade, we spent the whole first year only doing read alouds, math, and language arts. In 3rd grade, we added science in, and in 4th grade, we added science and history in. And there were other things we did too, like small little curriculums that we worked through, but like a full science and full history curriculum, we waited a couple years till we had kind of gotten our rhythms in place as a family. So that's my advice there. I also got the question what I do for my 3-year-old for homeschool curriculum. And that answer is nothing. She sits with us when we do Bible time. She does have like a little handwriting style doodle book from the Good and the Beautiful that when she wants to do school, she draws in that and follows that. And it wasn't until a month before she turned 4 that we occasionally started working in the Good and the Beautiful's preschool curriculum. And she's 4 now, and we're gonna work through that next year. So next year she will do, for official preschool, she will do the Good and the Beautiful she will do the Good and the Beautiful preschool. And if that goes well, she'll also complete the kinder prep right after that. And we may do the very beginning of Explode the Code with her and the Good and the Beautiful handwriting booklet as well. And that's all she's gonna do for preschool for like official curriculum. She'll join us for our read alouds. She'll listen in on Bible time. She might listen in on history and science if she's got the attention span for it, but that's what she's going to be doing. And I generally, unless you have a prodigy child, do not recommend official curriculums with a 3-year-old. I think playing and watching older siblings do things and just listening in and learning to share. Those sorts of things are plenty for a 3-year-old. So, I mean, they just figured out how to go potty on a toilet. Like, they don't need a full language arts curriculum and history and all these things. Those things will come. They've got plenty of time to learn them, and they'll absorb them like a sponge once they have the capacity to do so. So the last question, that wasn't even a question that I got, says 0% of homeschoolers develop normally. And I just had to laugh at that. Have you ever been around homeschoolers? I don't think they have. I think they have a 90s view on what homeschooling looks like. Because I think that was the stereotype that's still left over from the 90s. I was a public school teacher for several years, and I can say with full certainty, the weird ratio and the development ratio from public schoolers to homeschoolers, like the weirdness level is the same. There's some weird homeschoolers out there. There's some weird public schoolers out there. There's literally no difference. So I'm sure I'm not going to convince that person, but I would encourage you to get out from the rock that you live under, because there is a vast, big, wide world of homeschoolers out there, and many of them raise their children to be wonderful, level-headed, well-rounded, respectful people that are better prepared for the real world than their public school counterparts. It all comes down to parenting between public school preparedness and homeschool preparedness. It comes down to us. So, that's all I'm gonna say about that. If you want your child to develop normally, whatever that means, you have to be a present parent. And I would even venture to say that you have to be a parent that is disciplined in the ways of the Lord. You're not going to raise normally developed children if you're not putting your trust and your hope in that. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Those are all the questions I wanted to answer today. I am going to finish working on my laundry. I'm almost done with the boys' load, and then I've got a load of towels. I've got a load of my stuff, and the girls' stuff is in the wash right now. So it'll take me another hour to do this, and then we'll see what we have time for. I have a pair of shorts that I wanted to sew of Olivia's, and then I need to figure out what we're doing for dinner. So we'll see. Thanks for listening. Okay, so we weren't sure if we were cooking dinner here or if we were meeting some family to go kind of out for dinner tonight or eat together. So I did not have a full plan for dinner. What I ended up doing was sticking some chicken into my Instant Pot, just with some simple seasonings on it: salt, pepper, garlic, a little paprika. And if you take it out of the freezer from frozen, now these are the thin sliced, they're only about this thick. So if you have thicker ones, it would take longer, but this chicken from frozen from the freezer, I can put it in on 35 minutes in the Instant Pot, and it will be fully, beautifully cooked and ready to shred for tacos, for sandwiches, for whatever. So that's what we're doing tonight. We're just having chicken sliders. So the kids are gonna have barbecue ones, and I might have buffalo sliders for myself, or I might put it over a salad. I need to check what I've eaten today and think about what I'm gonna do for mine. But yeah, that's what we're doing for dinner today. Super simple, super quick. Throw some veggies on the side, and then we got these from Costco. They're a favorite, so we'll probably have a few of those with dinner as well. Just keep it super easy tonight since we're kind of throwing things together. So I just wanted to show you that, and I'm gonna finish laundry. Laundry. Okay, so here is what dinner looks like. We're all done with it. We have barbecue chicken. All I did after shredding it was add this Kinder's barbecue sauce. And then this one over here, it has some Greek yogurt in it and buffalo sauce. I like to make the buffalo sauce just a little bit more creamy with just like a 1/4 cup or not even that much Greek yogurt in it. And this is what it looks like for the kids. So this is my oldest and my youngest. My 2 middles already stole theirs. And they're gonna have some kettle chips also, but I'm gonna make sure they eat what's on their plates first before they get the chips. That's theirs. I decided I'm gonna have mine. I'm gonna have the buffalo chicken, and I'm gonna put it over some salad that we have and have it with a side of those chips I showed you. All right, here is my fancy dinner. I just threw it on a salad mix we had with some cucumbers, feta, and a little extra buffalo sauce. Then I have my fancy drink here. It's only half full because it's an Olipop that I added some electrolytes to. And when I mixed the electrolytes in, it may have exploded all over my counters. So we lost some in the process, but it made it really yummy. So I highly recommend. But I would suggest maybe just filling your cup half full before adding the electrolytes, and then adding the rest of the soda in there. So that's my dinner, and that was our day. Thank you guys for watching and coming along. There's lots more homeschooling content coming your way, so stay tuned for that. Subscribe if you haven't, and hit that like button, and that will get me out there so it's easier for me to be seen by people like you. Thanks again. Have a wonderful day, and God bless. Bye.